Another day, another shelf. So on this next shelf we have 1 to 10 of Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest. I am getting 11 for Christmas. This is pretty much just a sequel to Fairy Tail. It's all the same characters. Series carries on. There's some bigger, worse bad guys that manage to appear from somewhere. I enjoy Fairy Tail, so I'm enjoying this, but it does feel like it does feel like Fairy Tail never finished. As we have 1 to 4 of Fairy Tail Blue Minstrel, and this is complete. This is a spin-off series based on, oh my god, I've forgotten her name. Wendy! How did I forget her name? A spin-off series based on Wendy, just mini stories surrounding her. I've read, I think, 1 to 3, so I've only got volume 4 to read. As we have Fairy Girls 1 to 4, another complete spin-off series. This is based on a bunch of female characters. So Lucy and Wendy again, and Juvia. Again, light-hearted short stories. I've only read 2 of this one though. There wasn't too much of a plot so far, just fun, more fairy tale stuff. And we have Fairy Tail Ice Trail 1 and 2, and that is complete. And this is like a prequel story based on Grey, kind of like how he ended up at Fairy Tail, I think, like his pre-story. I quite enjoyed it. I quite like Grey. I found it interesting, and it was nice to read something that was not just like spin-off stories, like it was a prequel. Next we have Fairy Tail. I think I call these side stories 1 to 3, and it's complete. So volume 1 is based off Twin Dragons Sabretooth. 2 is called Road Knight, and it's based on, what's his name again? Based on GL, and I'm so terrible with names. I really liked these 2 characters. I very much enjoyed this one. And then this one is based on Laxus, and there's a lot of, with these 2 at least, I don't remember this one as much, it's a lot of like what happened when, spoilers, I was gonna say a bunch of spoilers. We get a lot of missing story info around these 2 characters, bunch of characters, and I really enjoyed it. They're really fun. If you want to read some more like stories about particular characters, I know they're quite big fan favourites, so they were fun. Then we have Fairy Tail S 1 and 2, which is complete, and these are, so I say I don't watch anime, but what I will watch is filler episodes, which I understand is like the opposite of a lot of people, but I'm happy to watch content if I've not already read or absorbed it. But I think a lot of these like short stories are, I don't know which came first actually, is it the filler episodes or this? But a lot of the filler episodes from the anime were stories in these 2 volumes. Again, very silly, short stories. Doesn't have much impact at all on the main series. And next we have Fairy Tail Zero, which is a one-shot, and it's about how Fairy Tail was formed. Actually quite sad, really sad, the main character being Mavis here. Really sad about this volume because I bought it while away, and I only realised when I got home that there was a big cut down the back, which is a shame, but I wouldn't have been able to return it, unfortunately. But still, I enjoyed this one. This is probably of all the, actually no, I really like these, and then I like this one as well. These are my favourite Fairy Tail spin-offs. I think that's all the Fairy Tail spin-offs there are. I'm not sure if there are any others. If there are, I need to pick them up. I know there's a couple that are digital only in English and have a physical print in like French. There's like a police one or something, but there isn't English physical print yet, at least. I'm hoping they might, maybe. Okay, this next shelf is going to be quite blurry on YouTube because this is my Faku shelf, and yeah, this is my Faku shelf. If you don't know what Faku is, it is adult content is probably what I'm going to say. I keep these together because a lot of Faku are one-shots. There are a few very odd ones which have multiple volumes, like this one and this one, but predominantly they're one-shot volumes. What I enjoy most with Faku is the ones where there's an ongoing story, because actually what's really common in Faku volumes is there's a theme to the volume, but every chapter is a standalone and has nothing to do with the one beforehand. They're all independent, but I like the ones where there's at least a full story the whole way through. Yeah, a lot of this is just going to be blurred. I have some post-its covering parts on the spines, but it's probably not enough. Also, a lot of titles are super dubious. What's some of the, like, vaguely not, or vaguely safer work ones I can say. A fragrance called Love. It's a straight line. Once you fall in love, love me tender. There's a lot of love. Metamorphosis. It's a vaguely safe title. Post-its are falling off. Viewer discretion advised. That's a horror faku. Yeah, I think I'm gonna move on. I obviously can't really talk much about the series. Yeah. People have told me I should do a Patreon and just talk about my faku and other plastic wrap stuff, but I don't know. Starting from the bottom, we have Fangirl 1 and 2, and that is up to date. I am not particularly keen on Fangirl, not because it's a bad series, it just reminds me of similar times I had at university that I didn't particularly enjoy, so that's more personal. Don't like it. It is based on a novel, I believe an English novel. I have certainly no idea why it's got a manga, but it's quite interesting. It'd be fun if a lot more novels got manga adaptations. I'd be all over that. As we have the Faraway Paladin Omnibus Volume 1. I think it's an isekai, I can't remember. I remember thinking it was okay. It got better definitely towards the end of the omnibus, and I was like, oh, I should pick up the rest, and then I saw how much they cost and I got put off. But it's another J novel club, so it's a lot more dense. There's a lot more pages in there than it looks like. I need to get up to date. I think there's like 3 or 4 manga omnis out now. I did have Faraway Paladin pre-ordered, and way back in the time, and then I just didn't stay up to date. So we have Farming Life in Another World 1 to 6, and that is, I think, up to date. 7 though might be out. I really enjoyed the first couple of volumes, and then I read volumes 3 and maybe 4, and I got so bored. I really was struggling to get through it. It started out and it was like kind of Harvest Moon-y. This guy he's got this magic farming tool and he can farm really easily and do loads of stuff with it, and he's like building up a village, and all these people keep coming to live with him, and all these women keep wanting to bone him and have kids with him, and he doesn't seem to care, he just wants to farm. It is actually quite lighthearted regardless of the massive harem. I also really like that when the village expands or expands its fields or anything, we get a top-down view, kind of like a map in Harvest Moon, and I absolutely live for that. That's probably the main reason I'm still picking up the series. I like to pick up series anyway, but it's the one thing I've been enjoying in the series still at this point. So you have the Fiancé Chosen by the Ring 1 and 2, and that is up to date. The volume 3 was meant to come out before Christmas, and now it's like pushed back to January. It's just a fantasy series where our main character was at a party and a ring hit her in the face, and then this guy comes running over and he's like, it was fate, it was magic, we're engaged. And it was because he was trying to escape from someone, and he was like, would you mind playing along for a bit? And she's like, yeah, kind of, sure, let's go for it, I think. And then they seem to actually grow fond of each other, and it's quite sweet. It's just a sweet, light-hearted sort of fantasy. There is some magic, she has some magic, I think. It's fun, it's lighthearted, it's not particularly hardcore. As we have Fiancé the Wizard 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that is a complete series. This is an isekai. I spent like almost a year trying to track down Fiancé the Wizard. Finally managed to grab it. It was okay. I feel like they just kind of abandoned the isekai part pretty quickly. They did try to do a throwback to it in volume 4, but it felt a bit second thought. I also feel like the arcs were a bit strange. So there were 2 arcs in the series, volumes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 were 2 arcs. It felt like it could have just been 1 arc and they merged them, kinda. There was such a felt like there was such quite a clear line in volume 2, and then it just sort of, oh, and there's also this, and it felt a bit forced. I did still enjoy it. If you're looking for a romance isekai, potentially try this one, but I don't think it was outstanding. Next we have Final Fantasy Lost Stranger 1 to 7, and this is a up-to-date series. So this isn't based on any particular Final Fantasy game. He's like being isekai'd into his own Final Fantasy, I suppose. So it's him and his sister work at Square Enix, I think. Yeah, he actually works at Square Enix with his sister, and they get isekai'd into a Final Fantasy game, and like all the sort of races are the same, spells, weapons, all that's the same, but a lot of names are different. So like, I don't think Moogles are called Moogles, they're called like something else, but all the premise, everything is the same. And then something bad happens at the end of volume 1, and it kind of throws a spanner in the this is really fun and cool sort of thing. My partner is a massive Final Fantasy fan, and he absolutely adores this series. It has taken ages for Volume 7 to appear. I think our pre-order was constantly being pushed back, and he was really sad about that, but we did finally manage to get it. I think 8 is out in the next couple of months as well. If you're a Final Fantasy fan, I would probably recommend this. Next we have Final Fantasy Type 0. Yeah, this is a one-shot. I believe it is based on a game with a similar name. I have not played many Final Fantasy though, so I can't say for sure. I've played 14 and I've watched my partner play some others, and that's about it. And then we have Final Fantasy Type 0 Side Story, the Ice Reaper 1-5, and that is a complete series. Again, my partner's read it and I have not. Oh, a Tanbury. It's quite amusing because he didn't realise that this was different to this one. So when I started picking it up for him, he was like, but we've already got that. And I was like, no, we don't. And he was like, wait, why do we not already have this series if it's Final Fantasy? Like, I don't know, Ben, why do we not? Next we have Fire Force, so we have 1 to 15, and some more. 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. So I'm missing volume 20 to have a clear run. I had been up to date. More have probably come out. I think it might be even in the 30s now, so I'm a few volumes behind. I've read the first 3 or 4 volumes, and then I started. It's another series that I've been picking up secondhand quite a bit, or when it's on sale. So I managed to get a fair few volumes off Blackwell for like $4.99, which is amazing. And then some of them secondhand, some of them discounted at like Traveling Man on Black Friday. So I kind of put it down until I could get all of them, because I had quite big gaps for a while. I only managed to get like volume 19 quite recently. I had 2 volumes missing there. It is now a complete series. I don't remember how many volumes, but they're still printed in English, so it's another one I'll probably wait now until it finishes. Next we have Fire Punch 1 to 8. I have had this series for quite a long time now, a good few years. I have been put off reading it because I hear not great things about the second half. It is the same manga artist as Chainsaw Man, I believe. It's only 8 volumes. I really should get on it and try and just binge through it. So we have Fist of the North Star 1 to 5 Omnis. I think there might be another one out by now. I've not heard particularly great things. Apparently it's just, I don't know. No one seems to be that keen on it, which makes me concerned. I do quite like these hardbacks. I'm a bit picky with my volumes and hardbacks, softbacks, omnis, singles, all that, but I do quite like the JoJo Fist of the North Star style. I don't know what the name of that type is, but I do quite like these. They're a nice size, so yeah. It's a shame. I hope I'll enjoy it though. Been picking these up, I think mostly 3 for 2, or on sale on like Books Please or Blackwell. Sometimes they drop them to like £10 each. Next we have Frieren. His fingertips of 30 firemen ravishes me with his smouldering gaze. Wonderful, and that is up to date. I have volume 5 on pre-order. I originally ordered this. I pre-ordered volume 1 because the title made me think it was an isekai. It's not. It is smut. It is very smutty. Lots of smut scenes. I think it was the first manga I read that didn't have any censoring. And then what's really interesting is volume 4 now has censoring. And it's like, what happened to make them censor volume 4 but not 1 to 3? Very much enjoy it. I think just because it was like, oh wow, these sort of series are a thing? Like, relationship and smut. Oh, that's quite nice. Romance and smut. Next we have Fly Me to the Moon 1 to 12 and 13 and 14, which is up to date. I really like the colours on the spine for this one. I was really tickled that it took so many. Go back in, come on. I was really tickled how many volumes it took for the male main character to be on the cover. I think his first cover appearance is volume 10. I've read up to 7 or 8, I think, and then I just haven't got back onto reading it, and then so many have come out. They're coming out so quickly, so every time I go manga shopping I'm picking another one up. I'm just so behind now. I'm like, yeah, like half the series to read again. It is a very light-hearted read. I was really surprised. I thought it might find it annoying, them getting married before they've really dated or known each other, but actually I did quite like it. It's very funny, sweet, and lovely and wholesome. As we have Flying Witch 1 to 10, and that is up to date. I've read the first few. It is just a really wholesome series. It reminds me quite a lot of Yotsuba, where the character who's a witch kind of just goes to live. I can't is it with her grandma family, and just her adjusting to the life. I don't know if there's much more to the story than that, but I hope that actually is kind of all it is. I really enjoyed it. This is a nice calming read, and I hope to just sit down and read through it quietly when I need something calm. Next we have Food Wars 1 all the way to 36. Now this is one of the very few rare series that I have actually watched the anime of. I watched some anime while I was at university, and this was one of the series that I watched. I got up to... I started collecting the manga around 16, 17, and then I just continued reading the manga. I did still watch some of the anime because I'd started the anime and I wanted to try and finish it. I absolutely loved Food Wars up to about 17, 18. I wasn't too fussed about the final arc. It felt like it finished too soon, but also the final arc went on really long. I kind of thought it might follow them a bit further as opposed to just how long they did follow them for. I did enjoy a lot up to that. I really love how at the end of chapters they have recipes for food that was made in that chapter. If they use really weird ingredients, they might even like suggest substitutes for real ingredients that you could actually use to make it. There is a certain point though in the last like 5-6 volumes where the recipes get really weird and dumb, and using like tools like a chainsaw and dynamite. Yeah, this is starting to get weird. Next we have Forget Me Not 1 to 4 and 6 and 7. It is a 7-volume series, so missing volume 5 and then I'll be complete. So the premise of this story is our main character is a guy and he has an accident on a scooter, I think, and someone saves him, gets him to hospital, but he doesn't remember who it is except that it was a woman from his past. So the series seems to be him trying to search his past to figure out who the woman was. I've read volume 1 of this, and I did actually find it quite interesting, like just him reminiscing, trying to remember different women in his past. I'll wait till I manage to grab volume 5 and then I'll try and read them all together. As we have formerly The Fallen Daughter of the Duke volume 1, and this is up to date, though 2 again might be out recently. This is technically is it an isekai? Yeah, it is an isekai. Oh my god, cat, do you mind? So this is kind of a villainous isekai, but this character is she's been kind of, what's the word? She's been painted to be this villainess, but she isn't. She's just in a bad spot, unfortunately. She ends up running away, and she kind of happens upon this guy who turns out to be a prince. So she goes to stay in his kingdom and try to uncover the truth. I actually really enjoyed it. I read through it really quickly. I am really looking forward to volume 2. Next we have Frank and Fran 7 to 8, and this is the final Omni in the series. I grabbed this for £5, and a part of me grabbed it with the expectation I might not be able to grab the rest of the series. It is a very hard to find series, unfortunately. I don't know if it's going to get another printing. I believe... Oh, £4, never mind. This is another series that a friend of mine who doesn't really collect physically was like, oh, this is a good series, you should try it. And I was like, do you know how much it goes for online? He was like, no. It's like hundreds of pounds. And he was like, oh, that's a shame, it's really good. I was like, bastard. So I'm kind of hoping they might do a reprint at some point. I've seen a lot of people really wanting a reprint. I don't know how often 7Cs do reprints, especially of older series, because that's vaguely older, at least for 7Cs is. Next we have Frau Faust Volume 1. I picked this up secondhand for like £4, maybe £5. And then when I got it, I noticed it said it was from the creator of Ancient Mages brand, and I was like, oh, that's actually kind of interesting. I don't think there's very many volumes out, so I'm going to try and grab some more before I read them all together. Next we have Frieren Beyond Journey's End 1 to 6. I haven't read volume 6 yet. I've not had it that long. Again, it was in my basket before I put everything away for the video. I didn't enjoy volume 1 all that much, to be honest. I think when I saw it, I assumed just fun adventure fantasy, which to be fair, it is. But there is also quite a heavy aspect around morality and questioning like life and purpose and everything, and I think I just wasn't expecting it. Having read more of it and gotten more into it, I have started to enjoy it again. I think it was just there was an initial, I set myself an expectation that it wasn't quite what I expected, and that kind of ruined it again, which is why I like to go in without any expectations at all. But I really enjoyed this ongoing arc, which is like an exam arc. I know a lot of people don't like exam arcs. I adore exam arcs. Very much enjoying it a lot more now than at the beginning. Next we have From the Red Fog 1 and 2. I haven't read volume 2 yet. I actually thought volume 1 was a bit shit, to be honest. Which, again, I've not seen anyone else say negative things about it, so it's like, am I the problem? It is a horror, and it wasn't the horror, it was kind of a horror. It's quite gory. That wasn't like the issue I had with it. I know I don't like horror, so you will notice there's very little horror in this collection. If I picked up horror, it's usually accidentally. No Junji or anything. I just found the story really disjointed and jumpy. Like chapter to chapter there was like skips, and I just got confused about what was happening, and that puts me off the series incredibly. That was a shame, considering everyone else seems to love it, so that might just be a me thing. Next we have Fruits Basket Collector's Edition 1, 2, 4, 5 and 10, and I think I'm getting 3 for Christmas. Apart from volumes 1, I think the rest I've picked up on sale or second hand. You can definitely tell that this one was second hand. There's a nice chunk eaten out the corner of that one. So often I get them for, I've managed to get these ones I think for like £8, maybe £9, which isn't bad. This is one of the few times I prefer the omnis of the singles. Singles, the Tokyo Pop ones, while also being out of print, are all just one colour and blue and boring. Whereas these are rainbow and pretty. So because they're quite expensive, and I really struggle to pay a lot for manga, the really expensive stuff like Fruits Basket and Vinland Saga, I don't tend to pick up particularly quickly. It's mostly, it'll take me years because I'll see them secondhand or discounted and I'll grab them then, but that's not particularly often. And then I'll read it once I get all of them. Next we have Full Moon 1, 2 and 6. Volume 1 was gifted to me from Himika during our manga box exchange. I do quite like the eyes. I do like Tanimura eyes, they're so big. I did find the whole premise otherwise a bit strange. Volumes are also really hard to find now. Got these 2 secondhand. I don't know how many more I'm going to be able to find secondhand, so I don't know if I need to just... Maybe they'll reprint, but who knows with Shoujo Beat. As we have 1 to 12 and 13 to 27 of Fullmetal Alchemist. So Fullmetal Alchemist I've had in my collection a long time. A long time. I remember at school when I just started reading manga, none of my friends were into manga, but my friends were all super lovely and they tried even if they didn't understand. I remember for one of my birthdays, a friend of mine gave me Fullmetal Alchemist Volume 1, and she said she'd gone into a comic store and asked for a recommendation based on the series I was currently reading, and that was the one they recommended to her. And then she got me a couple more volumes for Christmases and birthdays the years after. I also remember getting a whole chunk. I remember being in Seattle for a conference, and there was a comic store that was closing and they were selling manga for $1. And how long ago was this? I think I was like 15, so a while ago is what I'm gonna say. A while ago. I was 15, they were selling it for $1, so I picked up pretty much more than half of Fullmetal Alchemist. I had 27 for a really long time before I managed to fill in some of my gaps. And then I remember finally getting the ones I needed and finishing the series during my first year of university, reading it on the bus to my lectures. Of course I enjoyed Fullmetal Alchemist. I feel like who doesn't enjoy Fullmetal Alchemist? Next we have Shugi Yugi Mystery Play 1 to 7. Oh, one have a clear run. 1, 7, 9, 11, 12. These are all secondhand. Loads of them are really battered and very old. Often they're pennies, they're so cheap to pick up, but finding the later ones are quite hard to find. This, I believe, is technically an isekai. That's my understanding. Again, I'm not going to start reading it until I manage to get all of them, because I've been picking up volumes for like 2-3 years now. I've still not seen later ones cheap enough for me, so I'll wait till I grab them all. And next we have Shugi Yugi Genbu Kaiden 1 and 2. Again, I think, is it a sequel to this one? I believe. I haven't started reading it because obviously I've not read this one. Also picked up secondhand. As we have Gable Dropout 1 to 3 and 10. So this is about Gabriel has come down to like check on things and ends up going to high school and just sort of being a loungeabout, eating a lot of food, not really doing anything. And that's kind of the premise. It's kind of a slice of life sort of high school deal. I don't tend to pick them up too often. So I picked this one up because it was discounted. How lovely is that? But it's such a thin volume, and these are often $11.99. 3 for 2 price is $7.99, and that is still too much for me for how thin these are. Even if they're rainbow spines, I can't really bring myself to go for it. Again, I'll pick them up slowly over time if I see them on sale. Gal going 1 to 3 and 5 to 9, so 4 and 10 is all I'm missing for this to be complete. This is a high school romance with the teacher, kinda, but it's also a lot about food. Our main character wants to learn how to cook, and she seeks help from one of the teachers that runs the cooking club. And so far things have gotten like, she's trying to get really cozy up to him, and so far he isn't fully rebuting her advances. I'd be interested to see if he does later on, because teacher-student does give me the ick. That's probably one of the few, like, I don't care about general age gaps, but like, when it's with a position of power, that gives me ick. Next we have The Galaxy Next Door Volume 1 and 2. I believe I'm a volume behind now. This is about a guy who's a manga artist, and he hires this girl to be his assistant. But then there's something really weird where she's like a princess of some sort of weird kingdom, and she's got a stinger, and she accidentally stings him, and now he's her fiance, and if he isn't nice to her, he gets sick. It's very strange. It's a nice, sweet read. It wasn't particularly mind-blowing. The art was nice though. Next we have Game Between the Suits Volume 1. I keep accidentally calling this New Game Suit, which is really confusing because there's another manga series called New Game, and it's not this one. This is a steamship title. I think, was it like the second or third steamship title? I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't like the whole dynamic between the two characters. They seem to just be trying to make each other jealous, and I just don't like that. I'd rather they just communicated, but I understand there's like things that mean that they can't do that. Like, but that's just not my sort of thing. I just found them both very, I didn't like either of them at all. As we have Gantz G Volume 2, this was actually a mistake I thought I was buying Gantz. But to be fair, it was such an insanely good price. It was like £3 or £4. Of course I wasn't going to be buying that super thick Omni for £3 or £4. My partner has expressed an interest in reading Gantz though, so I just kept hold of it for when he eventually picks up Gantz volumes and then can read that one. The Geek X Hitman Volumes 1 and 2. I have read Volume 1 of this. This is like, it's just a guy who was a hitman, and he kind of gets absorbed into otaku culture and has like body pillows. Now he's in Japan just sort of being an otaku, and now people are trying to kind of hunt him down because like he was an assassin. He can't stop being an assassin. It feels like a bit more otaku, more serious Sakamoto Days, I suppose. Actually, I can't tell if it's less or more serious than Sakamoto Days. It's okay. The price tag, I don't like its price tag because it's now a $13.99 series. I don't think it's worth that. My preference probably is to hold off until I can find it cheaper and then pick it up. Next we have Genkaku Picasso Volumes 1 and 2. I picked these up not that long ago second hand, probably for about £4 each. It is only a 3-volume series, but yeah, I haven't started reading it yet. I'm still missing one volume. Next we have Gentle Noble's Vacation Recommendation Volume 1. This is an isekai, but it's like he's already kind of living in a strange fantasy world, and he's kind of isekai to a different kind of fantasy world. So it's not like he's from modern day Japan or anything. Is this a BL? I know people are like it's a BL, but maybe I'm only 1 volume in. So far it's just been, I wonder if it's just because it's got 2 dude lead characters. I don't fully remember. It's been a while since I read it. He kind of has got this guy who's like showing him around. I think that's mostly what's happened, but again, it's been a while. They don't release very often either. I think I've not picked up a volume. I picked this up years ago, but there's still only like 5, maybe 6 volumes out, maybe 7. Gentleman's Alliance Cross 1 to 11, and that is a complete series. I haven't started reading it yet. No particular reason. I just kind of forgot, to be honest. As we have Ghost Diary 2 and 3, I picked these up vaguely recently in HMV for $4.99. I am missing volume 1. I think it's complete at 3, maybe. I don't know what it's about. I grabbed it because it was cheap. That is something I know a lot of people don't understand, but like I really enjoy reading stuff even if it's bad. I just really enjoy just reading, and I know some people don't understand it, but doesn't matter how bad it is. Like, boring, I'm not that keen on boring. Boring's probably worse than bad, because at least bad, it's like bad, but boring. Often, like, I read stuff, my partner reads stuff, I have other people who read stuff in my collection as well, so I don't really mind. Also, I just love building a collection, and I'm quite happy just doing that, to be fair. Next we have Ghost in the Shell, Human Algorithm 1 and 2, and I believe this is up to date, there is 3 out. I haven't read any Ghost in the Shell yet. My partner has. He absolutely adores Ghost in the Shell. So Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex 1 to 5 are also his. I think this one's complete. There's also some more Ghost in the Shell. I keep my bigger manga volumes elsewhere, so we'll do that at the very, very end of the collection tour. But yeah, these are all his. I haven't read them yet. I'm not sure when I'm going to get around to them. At the bottom we have Girl in the Arcade 1 and 2. I picked these up when I went manga shopping with the dudettes. I haven't read them yet. I don't know what they're about. They were plastic wraps. I saw it said arcade, so I was like, ooh, video games. And then I haven't tried reading them since. Next we have Go with the Clouds North by Northwest Volume 1. I am very behind on this. I have read this volume. I quite enjoyed it. But it's quite a pricey volume series from what I can tell, so I've not grabbed any more. It's set in Iceland, I think, and it's kind of like a detective kind of thing, and he's got some strange powers. I quite liked it, just it's pricey to pick up, so I haven't got back to it yet. Then we have Girl on the Shore, and this is a one-shot. A friend of mine gave me a whole bunch of manga she didn't want, and this was the only one she handed me that I didn't already have, so it fell into my collection, maybe. I haven't read it yet. I know there's some mixed opinions about this one. I flicked through it, and I swear every page I randomly flicked to had like some nudity on it. I don't know what that says about the volume. Next we have Ghost Recon Girl 1 and 2. These are up to date, I think. I've read volume 1 and it was fine. It was a fine battle shonen kind of series. Nothing outstanding so far. I haven't gotten around to reading volume 2 yet. It is a bit weird that you have to read it left to right. I actually struggle nowadays reading left to right, especially like comics or manga. So it was a bit weird trying to read this. It probably threw me off more than anything. As we have Ghostly Things Volume 1, this is a 3-volume series. I have read this volume. I thought it was fine. It reminds me a lot of Demon Prince of Mochi House, except there's no love interest. There's just all the little yokai stuff in this house, and this girl's on her own for some reason. Her dad's abroad for story reasons. It was fine. I kind of wish I'd held off till I got 2 and 3 to read them together, because I know I'm just going to forget what happened by the time I get to them. Next we have Gintama 1 to 3. I again have had these in my collection for a super duper long time. I picked these up before I learnt that the English translation never completed, and also volumes nowadays of the ones that were completed are so ridiculously hard to find for a good price. I might just leave it there. I have high doubts they'll ever do another reprint of Gintama, even with how popular manga is at the moment. Viz seem to be super duper cautious and nervous around manga printing in general, so I don't have high hopes. This might just be it, unless I find more random volumes discounted. Girl from the Other Side Volume 1. I have read this one. So far, I don't understand the hype around it. It was fine. It was an interesting kind of fantasy, dark fantasy kind of read. I don't think there was anything that I was like, ooh, I understand. Is it the art style? Is it I don't know. But I should read more of it to find out. I think there's like 11, 12, something. There's some really nice hardcovers coming out, but I prefer singles. I'm hoping a lot of people are now going to try and sell their singles to buy the hardcovers, and then I can buy up some then. Girl I Saved on the Train turned out to be My Childhood Friend Volume 1. I picked this up because, again, I thought it might have been an isekai with a title that long. Oh, it's wedged in tight. I think there's just a lot of like slice of life that are coming out at the moment with crazy long titles, and this is another one. I haven't read it yet. I don't have particularly high hopes though. Next we have Given Volume 1. I haven't read this one yet. Is it plastic wrap? No. A lot of people absolutely love the series and I need to give it a go, but I'm probably going to try and pick up some more volumes before I read it, because there isn't that many out anyway. Next we have a bunch of random Goblin Slayer volumes. So we've got 1, 2, 4, 5 of the main series, Volume 1 of Brand New Day, and Volume 2 of Side Story Year 1. I think there's even like another side story or 2 maybe. I've read Volume 1. It was definitely a lot more dark than I thought it would be, and I have So, and then the rest I think I've picked up like randomly secondhand. Actually, I think my partner bought me the first two because he thought I might enjoy it. It is not an isekai, it's just fantasy. It's a gory fantasy. Why would you believe it? He slays goblins. I know, right? Next we have Golden Japanesque 1 to 5, and this is up to date. And unfortunately, there are only 5 volumes out in Japan as well, so probably going to be up to date for a while now. It is a kind of a high school romance, but not really in high school, and it's not Monday. It's set. Is it set post-war? Maybe. I'm not sure when it's set, but it's not Monday. I found it quite interesting, though. The main girl again does annoy me quite a bit. She just, again, seems a bit wet, but also she's not been treated particularly well, so I do also feel bad for her. I do actually quite enjoy reading it, though, even saying negative things. I read them pretty quick. I read 3, 4, and 5. I think like back to back almost, and that definitely helps. I find it definitely helps with slice of life and romance series because I often get confused with names pretty easily. So if I read them quite quickly together, it helps me with the names. Next we've got Gordon Camry 1 to 27, and that is up to date, I believe. For so long, I've been struggling to find 15, and then finally I saw it in Traveling Man. It got on a reprint. I have been picking this series up for like a long time now. Like 5 years, maybe? I said that that's a long time. It is in my manga collecting. 5 years is a long time. I read the first 3, and then I started to struggle to get volumes, so I kind of held off reading more until I've picked up more. And then there isn't actually that much left until it's complete, because it is complete in Japan, so I'm going to hold off reading it all until it's all out again. I've got quite a few series like that, actually. But I am quite looking forward to it. Next we have Goodbye My Rose Garden Volume 3, Garden Volume 3, which I picked up for $1.99. This is the final volume in, I believe, a 3-volume GL series. Volumes 1 and 2 are a bit iffy to find, but I am hoping to pick them up. I see a lot of people said good things and said that this is a lovely series, so I am definitely keeping an eye out for those. Next we have the Golden Sheet 1 to 3, and that is complete. These were Christmas gifts to me from my partner, I think. It's meant to be like a slice of life, coming in age sort of story. I haven't read it yet. The texture of the cover is so strange. It's like kind of matte-ish, but like weird matte. Next we have Grand Blue Fantasy 1 to 7. This is again a series of my partner's based on a video game, I believe. I don't know if the video game got an English or Western release. I don't know. My partner was telling me all about it, and I was like, that's very nice. He really enjoyed it, so I am definitely going to pick it up at some point. I love how thick this volume is. That's just like wildly thick. I actually picked up a fair few of these second hand for him, so like £4 or £5 again. So I think the only one we had to pick up in store, I think, was volume 7. Next we have Grand Blue Dreaming 1 to 5, and on the bottom shelf, and 6 to 16, and that's kind of up to date. I don't know when 17's coming out. Absolutely adore Grand Blue Dreaming. One of my favourite series. Love the humour. It's dumb. It's crass. It's stupid. Absolutely love it. I know a lot of people really don't. They think it's silly and dumb. Yeah, that's why I love it. This is another series I picked up upon recommendation from my friend, because he described it as a sports manga, and I was like, oh, I've not read many sports manga at this point in time. Let's give it a go. And then I picked it up and I was reading it and I was like, I don't think this is a sports manga. And he was like, it's a sports manga. It's like, no, it's not, is it? I genuinely laugh out loud, cry with laughter reading this, and I don't know if that paints my humour as immature, well, so be it. Next we have Grand Guignol Orchestra 1, 2, 4, 5. This is a 5-volume series. I'm only missing volume 3. I got, I think, 2 and 4 in Traveling Man, and then 1 and 5 I found second hand. I don't know anything about it, but I picked 2 and 4 of it randomly in Traveling Man to try, and then I found 1 and 5 for like £2, £3 second hand. I was like, okay, so I'm only missing 1. Let's try it. Next we have The Great Jahi Will Not Be Defeated 1 to 3. This is a reverse isekai where our demon lord lady has been isekai'd over and she's lost her powers and she's trying to reclaim them. Unfortunately, without her powers, she's kind of in this chibi child kind of form, and then when she tries to use her powers, she's like a big booby lady, but then she runs out and she's a kid again. That's been about it so far. It's quite light-hearted, almost slice of lifey. As we have The Great Pretender Volume 1. Now I say this was kind of a mistake in the fact that I hadn't realised it's on hiatus, with one volume. It is apparently based on a Netflix series, which is a lot longer running, so if you're interested in the series, check out that. It's probably the best answer. It's about scam artists, about this guy trying to who like professionally scams people out of money and pull it out because it's too low down, and he kind of joins this crew to try and this kid like joins this guy and this lady to try and do some like proper big scams. I was really interested because I've watched a few TV shows with this kind of premise and I really like them, so I was kind of excited by this. Got to the end of volume 1, I was like, that's a nice setup. Went to volume 2 out, and then yeah, it's on hiatus, which is a shame. Also, this is like one of the most well-made manga volumes I own. The pages are so thick and solid. I don't even know, and it's heavy, it's weighted. I don't know, it sounds so strange, but it is. It's wonderful.